Welcome back. Where did Kelly go? Oh, well, me and Jandy will handle this segment for you. Before we get to some water cooler discussion, let's take a look back at last night's televised game that we did. Devils Lake against Red River. 29 turnovers combined in this girls' game. Both defenses just that aggressive. Red River was aiming to stop the Firebirds' 5-game win streak. Mattia Vetch says it's not going to be so easy. 16 points per game she averages. She had 13 last night, but this was what the game looked like all night. Up and down. Red River's Maggie Steffen, a future Bison volleyball player, for 2 of her 16. Shelby Frank, she's going to be a good one. Just a sophomore, she scored 16. She nearly averages a double-double. Riders pull away for the 69-58 win. The Red River boys earned the sweep with a 29-point victory. So after last night, how about this? Red River climbs into third place, just a game back of Shanley for first, a half game back of the Davies Eagles for second, and Cheyenne lost to Shanley, dropping them to the 4 spot. Devils Lake, of course, at the 5. Still plenty to be decided in the EDC in both boys and girls play. But right now, time for a little water cooler talk, and let's talk about signing day, right, Jason? That's been the story of the day, the second signing day that we've gotten to experience this winter, right?
I was going to talk to you about that, Jody. A lot of people don't still understand that there are 2 separate signing days, and they each have a little different audience that they're trying to get to. I want to know, how did that affect any players that you talked to?
Well, I mean, I think there was different ways it affected players. Victor Isaac, I remember talking to him before that initial signing day, thinking, okay, he's committed. He's going to sign on that first signing day because he's going to UND, which is a Division I school, and that's kind of what it was made for. But he wanted to wait. He wanted to wait and sign with his teammates, and we saw kind of why today. If you saw our video earlier in the show, 7 Fargo South players signing. So that was just kind of a cool experience to kind of share that with his pals and kind of deflect that spotlight, so to speak. So I think that's one way that it affects players, and I think it also just kind of lets them know, okay, this school went and got these players. So the Division II players maybe think, okay, I didn't get that Division I spot, but I kind of know where those schools are leaning, so maybe I look at this school or that school. So I think it kind of figures things out for players a little bit in a way.
Yeah, for the players that I talked to, I mean, it was different. For players like Will Farniak from Sioux Falls, Washington, knew he was going to Nebraska to play with his brother. It was great because he graduated at the semester time, and he was able to enroll at Nebraska and get going. And that's really the reason that they did that. But like you said, it was awkward. I think some of the schools had their Division I players come back and do a signing, like a fake signing, the second time around, and some of them didn't do that. So it was a little awkward, but I think as we go on, the coaches and players both will kind of figure out the best way to utilize the 2 different signing days.
And I think it's nice for some of the players who have their decision made just to get it out of the way, to get some other coaches off their back maybe, just to be like, I'm committed here and I want to play here. Stiff arm the rest of the competition out there for recruiting.
Yeah, exactly. We cover high school guys. We love watching the high school football on Friday nights. But which players that you covered, Jody, do you think are going to stand out on Saturdays in the NSIC? That's a conference that we both cover and are both right in our region, our backyard. Which Saturday standouts do you expect from the Friday Night Lights Warriors?
Yeah, and there was a number signing today with those Northern Sun schools, so this is a great topic for this. But I'm going to have to go with a guy that's going to be playing staying put in Minot, and that's Peyton Lamore, a wide receiver for Minot State, as we take a look at some of his video from this past season. But a guy that had 900 receiving yards this season in high school, that's pretty darn good. 900 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. He's a very explosive player, Jandy. He's very, very good and good basketball player. This guy is just a gifted player. As you watch some of these highlights, the speed is there, the stiff arming is there, so the strength is there. And Minot was able to produce a lot of good guys. They have 4 guys that are going to go play for Minot State: Lofton Kulbundi, Logan Kruger. So I think there's some familiarity there with him as well, but it just makes a lot of good plays.
Yeah, it's great to see Minot State getting some local talent. We've seen a lot of Minot high school players over the years kind of scatter around a little bit. It's nice to see some of those guys staying home. I think they've got something really working for the Beavers there.
For sure. And then another guy that I think of, a North Dakota guy that's going to South Dakota to actually play college football, Clayton Greenite. And we saw him burst onto the stage as a junior, leading the Thunder of Ellendale Edgley Column to a state championship. Absolutely went off in that state title game with a state record-setting performance. But this is a guy in his career, Jandy, rushed for 5,300 yards and 64 touchdowns. Those numbers are unbelievable, aren't they?
Well, I remember his junior year where he absolutely lit it on fire at the Fargo Dome and, put the rest of the state on notice. He really got double teamed a lot last year and still ran very hard, but Greenike, he's got those legs. I think that's going to translate to what they need in the NSIC. And he's listed as a running back right now, so I think he'll do some good things.
And I think he wants to play running back. I think that's kind of what was part of his decision-making process, too. This is an opportunity where they're going to let me play running back. Remember, he's recovering actually from a shoulder surgery that he had at the end of the season. So he was playing hurt this past season, and he still did a really nice job. So it'll be good to see Greenike rush for the Northern State Wolves.
Great wrestler, too. And speaking of great players that played on Friday nights that we got to know, I think Augustana just killed it this year with the regional players. We talked about Peyton Zabel playing both football and baseball, a very difficult thing to do, but he'll be slinging it for the Vikings here in the near future. But I want to talk about the guy he's throwing it to, Logan Utek. This guy's the all-time leader at a storied high school like Washington in receptions, touchdowns, and yardage. He's got more yards, touchdowns, and receptions than Nate Gary, who was a legend at Washington High School. He makes crazy catches. This is in his junior year where he made a one-handed catch, but he had about 10 one-handed catches. And you know what? If this guy's 6'4", we're not only talking about D1 schools, we're talking about Big Ten schools going after a guy like this. But his measurables, his 40 time, just not good enough. Maybe not the 6'4" guy that you're looking for in receiver, but just a straight-up great athlete. Can't wait to see Logan Utek play at the next level. This has been fun, Jody, talking water cooler talk. We should, meet in Sisseton sometime or somewhere between us and do this more often.
Yeah, maybe Watertown. I don't know. I'm familiar with there. Maybe Dakota Magic.
All right, sounds good. Hey, we'll stay right here. Kelly's coming back to give you a look at the Midco SN live schedule this week.